Hello everyone. Today we'll be seeing the software development life cycle in software engineering. So as the name itself indicates, the software development life cycle, how a particular software is going to evolve. Evolve in the sense, right from the development, right after then the coding part, and then the maintenance part. So everything has to be covered in the evolve part. Okay. So this software, for a software to be developed, we follow some, say, the life cycles, how it has to come through. Okay, so today we'll be seeing one of the software development life cycle. In that we'll see the waterfall model. So this is the first and foremost model that was specified for the software development. So you can see there are different phases in developing a particular software, and it is specified as waterfall model because you can see each and every phase. So you can see this diagram, it has been arranged like a waterfall. So input from one phase, output from one phase will be the input to the other. So once you finish a phase, so if you want to shift to the second phase, you have to finish the phase completely. You can't get back. Okay, so after finishing a one stage, you can shift to the next stage. So this is the waterfall model. So here this waterfall model was one of the earliest model which was specified by Vincent W. Royce in 1970. So this waterfall model illustrates the software development process in a linear sequential flow. It means that once you begin a software, okay, so there are different phases. So you need to complete the first phase, then only you can shift to the next phase. Then again the stepwise. Say if you are in the middle of third or fourth phase, you can't shift back to the first phase. The completely one phase has to be completed, then it has to be shifted back to the second phase. So that's what we call as the linear sequential flow. So this, as we have seen the diagram, there are different phases. The first one is the requirement phase. So this requirement phase defines the what all things are to be required for developing a software. So how many people are required, what are the needs of the customer. So everything will be analyzed here. So a software team is going to go to the customer and they are going to sit with the customer, they are going to interact with the customer, they are going to collect the information from the customer. So whatever the customer tells, everything will be documented. So that document we specify as software requirement specification, in short SRS. So everything will be specified here, all the requirements. Say we can't put things in between. So A to Z of the software that a customer needs will be collected and will be analyzed here. So we need to maintain the document of the requirements, whatever the customer tells. So after the finish of the first phase, we'll shift to the second phase, that is the system design. So in this process, once the first phase has completed, that is requirement has been collected, based on those requirements we are going to say design the system. Here designing in the sense we are not going for the coding. Before coding, whatever the requirements have been collected, they have to be converted to modules, or because a huge software will be there, we can't take it as a one model. So the requirements have to be divided in small models. So based on the small models, we have to those models can be called as modules also. We need to design it. We need to create the architecture of each module. Okay. Then we need to decide on what type of software, what type of coding platform we require, what type of hardware we require, so that it matches with the software. So this system design will specify the modules that will be created for the software, what are the platform we require for the software, what will be the hardware required for developing this software, how many people will be involved for developing the software. So everything will be taken consider in the second phase, that is the system design phase. The third phase is the implementation phase. Okay, so here in this implementation phase, whatever modules have been analyzed and finalized in the system design, those modules will be developed as small units. When I say small units, these are a small part of coding. For a module, if there are we require say 10 pages of code, so those 10 pages will be divided into small units, say 1 page each. So that 1 page of code we are considering as unit. Okay, or it may be a particular operation. So those units, those modules will be again divided into small parts as units, and they will be developed. So those small units will be tested here for the exact output. So this implementation phase is actually the coding part, we can say. Okay, so after the implementation phase, the next is the integration phase. So here the integration phase and the testing we both consider here. Here the software need to be combined. Those small parts that have been developed now has to be combined together, because those small units are already tested in the implementation phase. Now they will be combined to form the modules or the software itself. So once they have been integrated, they will be tested for with the particular system, with the particular hardware, and the whatever tools are required. So in the integration phase, we are combining all the modules, we are forming a software, and we are testing that software. The next phase is the deployment. Okay, so here deploying in the sense we are setting where we are going to set it. So now the software is implemented, then it is integrated, now we are deploying it. Deploying in the sense we are handing the software to the customer. We are going to the customer location, then we are going to installing that software. We will be updating some of the system there, the hardware components of the customer. We will be updating the whatever the software is required to execute, whatever the technology is required to execute that software on the customer machines or on the customer location. So that is what happens in the deployment. Okay, so once it is deployed in the customer's location, we'll be testing it on the customer locations only. So a particular team of software developer may test, or the customer is going to test himself by allocating some people. Okay, so result will be again noted down, and all the if there are any others, we are going to we will be checking for the environment of the customer in the deployment. Okay, so after the customer, we have deployed it and the software is working fine on the customer location. Now we'll come to the last phase, that is the maintenance phase. So here this is the longest period of software in the SDLC evolution, because once we may take 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months for developing a software and for deploying. Okay, once it is deployed, so the software may run for years together. So the maintenance has to be given. So that's why I told the maintenance is the longest period for the software in the software development. Okay, so we need to check, we need to regularly keep on checking whether the software is working fine or not. If any new version is required, we can update it. If any technology is required, we can update it. If any hardware component is required, we can update it. then if any basic, if other needs of the customer is required, we can again analyze and we can enhance that software. So that's why different versions, you might have seen Android, different versions are coming because of the evolving. Okay, so this maintenance period, here we need to keep a time to time check of the environment of the software environment, customer location, hardware and the technologies. Okay, so these are the 6 phases that we need to follow in the waterfall model. One thing you should remember, for after completing one period, one phase, we will be analyzing and we will be documenting. Okay, for each and every phase we will keep a document. So here documentation is very important in each and every phase of the waterfall model. Okay, so these are the 6 phases. So there are some advantages and disadvantages related to waterfall model. Okay, so we will see some of the advantages first. So this type, as it was the first SDLC process to be specified, so there are many changes that have happened in the current period. Okay, so still we are following the waterfall model. So but this waterfall model is advantageous in the present scenario for small projects. Why we are using for small projects only? Because it is a the waterfall model is a phase based. Okay, if there are huge projects will be continuously up, the requirement will be changing. Okay, so if there are new requirement, again I have to start from the first phase itself. Okay, so after 2 months again new requirement will come, so again I will be starting from the first phase and I need to come back. So new requirement has to go through all the phases of the waterfall model. Okay, so that's why this waterfall model is good for small projects. Okay, then it is easy to use and follow because the complete analyze will be done based on the phase. Okay, so that's why it is easy to use and follow. The third advantage, when we move to the next phase, we have a clear picture of all previous phases. So as I told, every phase will be completed and shifted to the next one. So we will be having the clear picture of the earlier phase. Okay, so these are few of the advantages. Now we will see some of the disadvantages. So as I told, in the advantage, it is limited to small project. It is not useful. In the disadvantage, it is not useful for a large project. Okay, so as I earlier told, if new changes, new requirement comes, then it will be problem to manage because I have to follow again all the phase system. Okay, so if a testing fails in one phase, again I have to shift back to the first phase and again I have to follow all the phases. So this is the disadvantages of the waterfall model. So we have seen the complete how the waterfall model works.